This hour, we're going to be talking to Dr. Albert Pang, an optometrist with Trinity Eye Care. There's some concern now, new concern, according to a study from the Vision Council, that nearly 70% of adults in the United States are experiencing digital eye strain. The reason? Due to electronic devices. TVs, computers, smartphones, iPads, video games are affecting our eyes. And these eye problems are starting to show up in younger and younger people. And now there's another concern, and this is a new one to me, high-energy visible light. It's an area of what is called blue light that is being linked to age-related macular degeneration, causing objects to go in and out of focus, which makes you squint to compensate. Problems, not just social problems brought about by the use of the internet, also physical problems. Do we have Dr. Pang with us now? Oh, hey, Dr. Pang, thanks for joining us.
Hey, you're welcome.
This is extremely interesting, and of course, I don't know what the solution is going to be with this, but first, if you would, explain to us what you're seeing in your patients who are coming in for problems with neck aches, back aches, eyes, sore eyes, migraine headaches, problems with their vision.
I think ever since the introduction of all the handheld devices like the smartphones and the tablet, I think there's a couple interesting observations I noticed that's related to blue light emission. The first is patients have a harder time going to sleep now. Now, I don't know about you, whether you have this similar problem, but if you're trying to read something out of your iPad, before you go to sleep, the high-energy visible light actually interrupts the production of melatonin. That is the chemical occur naturally in our brain to help us to go to sleep. Now, because of this high-energy visible light, the brain, the mind is thinking that you are still, living in the daylight, and so the melatonin, the secretion of melatonin greatly reduced, making it harder for you to go to sleep and make it harder for you to have a good sleep. That's one of the observations I have. And also, next thing I notice is really people, looking at the computer, looking at handheld devices, really make the eye tired by the end of the day, a lot more than when we are just reading papers or just doing close-up work. And I believe that is part of it due to the blue light, as well as the fact that we are not blinking as much when we are doing computer as well as electronic devices. Normally, every minute we blink about 14 times a minute. But when you're looking at devices like electronic device, you only blink about 4 times. Because of the reduction of your blinking rate, is causing the eye to be a lot more drier. Your eye look redder, look a lot more tired. That is my 2 observations I noticed.
That's extremely interesting. Those would be short-term impacts. Have we been into this? Has there been enough observations done over a long period of time to find out what the long-term degradation of vision might be because of this, or other health concerns?
Great question. You know what? We don't have any. Again, the report about macular impact by the blue light is mainly done on animal study, on rats and other animals. We do realize that, interesting enough, is blue light or high-energy visible light, they were able to pass through cornea, they were able to pass through the lens, that's the natural barrier for the eye. They actually able to pass through those media and directly impact on the retina, causing some cell death oxidations of those photoreceptor by the high-energy visible light. So in animal study, we have confirmed that using the blue light for extended period of time will cause macular degeneration. Now, you also asked me just now about long-term impact, about changing in the prescription. We don't have any direct study, but one thing I can tell you is, ever since this electronic revolution, the amount of people that is suffering from nearsightedness, or the proper term is myopia, have increased about 60% in 3 decades. In 1970, about 5 in 20 people have short-sightedness, nearsightedness, or myopia, you can call it. However, in the 2000s, we have 8 out of 20 people having the same problem. So you're talking about 30% increase in the whole population. I really think that the evolutions of the electronic devices have a direct contribution to that.
Wow. Well, when this information gets out, if we're looking towards solutions, I guess one could be, would there be a change by the manufacturing companies to alter the type of light so this damaging blue light would be eliminated? Or is there a possibility of some type of filtering system, maybe glasses that should be worn while you're looking at screens?
You are a wise man.
No, I'm a questioning man.
You did your homework, I think. So actually, that's a great question. They have, a couple type of lenses for people that use in front of the computer. One of them is kind of like have a very slight, what they call subthreshold yellow tint on it. It's basically absorbing all the high energy visible light so that they will not able to go into our eye, causing the long-term effect like what we mentioned. The other type of lenses is actually a coating you put on the surface to reflect or bounce off all the blue light. So if people do not like to wear a yellow lens in the office, they were able to opt for this type of glasses. They have a coating on that when you are looking at regular thing, it's nothing, there's no reflected light. But when you look at the computer, they reflected most of the harmful blue violet light. So yes, there's a way that you're able to avoid the eye strain as well as the long-term effect of the blue light.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Pang. He is an optometrist with Trinity Eye Care about this new report that has come out by the Vision Council stating that nearly 70% of United States adults are experiencing digital eye strain due to electronic devices. We're getting into this blue light, also known as high-energy visible light, and the damage and harm that it could cause. Is there one or more of these monitors that is more dangerous than others, or are they all putting out pretty much equally amounts of this blue light?
I would say they probably, if you're talking about backlit LED screen, it's basically the only variable is the size of the screen and the brightness. So, of course, in other words, the bigger the screen is, the more high-energy visible light is going to go to the eye, the more damages. And the brighter the screen is, of course, there's more blue and violet light get into the eye. So, but that when you're talking about, square inches-wide, mainly all the LED or the handheld devices have the same impact to our eyes. One advice I haven't mentioned earlier is probably when you're looking at a screen, instead of turning it to full brightness, you may like to turn the brightness to just comfortable to you, but not too bright, not 100%. Usually, my terminal usually turn about 80% of the brightness. That is probably the best compromise.
All right, Dr. Pang, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about how available are these filtering glasses, the yellow tinge lens, or the coating that can be put on there, and also maybe some advice on prescribed dosages. How much time is too much time staring into a monitor with this blue light or high-energy visible light? We'll be right back. If you've got any questions, we invite your calls at 260-1870. Toll-free is 866-889-0870. And if you care to text us, like a lot of you are doing, asking about where you can get those glasses, simply send me that text at 870-870. But please remember to text responsibly, and don't be staring into that too long. It could be hazardous to your health. We'll be right back with Dr. Pang after this. All right, taking a look at our unscientific Peretti opinion poll question of the day, asking you, have you experienced any of these symptoms? Neck aches, backaches, red eyes, dry eyes, headaches, migraines, blurry or double vision while working on your computer? I know it's early in the voting, but 100% of you are saying yes. And, of course, anyone that is responding to this is obviously looking at some type of a screen because they wouldn't be able to respond if they didn't. With us to talk about this is Dr. Albert Pang. He's an optometrist with the Trinity Eye Care. He's been nice enough to explain this to us. And Dr. Pang, when I saw the results of this report from Vision Council, where this is affecting 70% of adults, eye strain due to electronic devices, this was the first I heard of it, but this is going to have wide-reaching impacts on the future of that industry. If I were a manufacturing company, I would start working on it immediately to try to find an alternative type of light in my equipment and then promote that as something I would want to sell, because monitors are not going away. The other thing that you found in your studies was that it's harder to sleep after looking at these devices, where that kind of shoots down the old theory about, well, I'm still awake, let me read a good book and put me to sleep. That's working counterproductive right now. And then we're talking about perhaps the spawning of a whole new industry of filtering systems in terms of glasses or coatings for the screens, perhaps. I don't know, but I got a lot of questions to ask you, but also the listeners do too. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of these text messages that are coming in asking you questions. The first one that comes up the most frequently is, what is available out there as far as filtration glasses or coating to put on glasses right now? Is that available, or is this something we're talking about only available down the road?
No, it's actually already there. You can just ask your eye doctor, and they will direct you into. It's readily available, and actually the yellow filtering lenses been around at least for the past, I would say, 3 years. This is just my, at least for us, we start doing it probably in the past 3 or 4 years. Then now the blue reflective coating, the bouncing all the blue light, reflecting all the blue light type of coating, been around for the past year. So it is readily available in a commercial market now. So it's not something that's down the road. It's available now.
I do want to make the announcement to our listeners. If you're experiencing difficulty with 870, we are having some problems with our AM signal. You can listen to us online at wwl.com and also on our FM frequency at 105.3. Dr. Pang, I've also got a question that someone wanted to know about how do contact lenses factor into the concerns?
Actually, it's just make it even worse. I don't have to probably say too much about it, but Don, do you wear contacts?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I wear reading glasses, and the other glasses I have, which I wanted to ask you, I wear yellow-tinted glasses frequently because I do a lot of fishing, sight fishing, and also when I'm shooting, and I find that they brighten things up and also filter some of the light out at the same time. Is that the type of yellow tinge you'd be talking about?
No, it's a different type.
Different. Okay.
To answer the listener's question about contact lenses, is actually make it compound the problem even worse. Remember we talked about just now regarding the dryness to the eye because of lack of blinking when we are using the computer screen. When you have a contact lenses on, a soft lenses or gas permeable lenses on, they require a certain amount of tear in order to sustain the contact lenses. When you are using computer, naturally we blink less. That means there's less tear exchange, less cleaning effect of the lenses. So as a matter of fact, you're using contact with the computer, it's just have compounded the negative effect. Lenses become drier, it's harder for you to see. It's because of the blinking. So they do have solution, yes. If you're using soft lenses, there's lenses that were able to again retain moisture on its own. One day throwaway lenses that's also available to tackle this type of dryness issue. So there's solution to help you using computer without decreasing your contact lens wearing time. And the second part of the question, Don, regarding those tinted lenses, most of the time when you are talking, it's similar because when you're shooting or when you're fishing, the amber lenses you're there is basically to screen out some of the blue light. However, you probably notice when you're using those amber light or amber tinted lenses, they kind of distorted color. In other words, when you're using the amber, yes, it cut off all the haze, you can see brighter. But at the same time, when you're looking at red, they are not the same kind of red like what it's supposed to be. And those are good for outdoor use or for shooting. But when you are doing computer, especially those graphic designers want to have exact color perception, those lenses will distort the color. So what we are talking about, those tinted lenses for computer, they are much lighter, just enough to filter, I would say probably about 30 to 40% of the blue light, but not totally screen it off, because if you totally screen it off, you're going to have a color distortion.
Are those available in both prescription glasses and just normal filtering type glasses?
Yes, they both in the plano for you to wear over contact lenses, or for people with perfect eyesight, they also come in the prescription lenses also.
All right, we're talking with Dr. Albert Pang. Doctor, we got to take a break here coming up shortly. And I know we're going to have a weather update. We're having some pretty inclement weather here. In fact, our power has gone off on our AM signal, but we have the online going and also our FM out 105.3. I did want you to talk about abstinence. Not everybody can do that because their jobs are tied into it. But has there been development, a rule of thumb about so many hours, and is that based on age also, on what is a reasonable amount of time to spend on it without doing any damage?
Actually, there is a rule of 20/20. What I mean by that is, what we suggest in general, the industry is suggesting you to take every 20 minutes, take a break, look at something far away, like 20 feet away, for about 20 seconds. So take a break, frequent break, instead of like how many hours you can work on. It's more to do with how many break interrupting your long hours of work. So every 20 minutes, take a break for about 20 seconds, looking at something 20 feet and beyond. That is what our suggestion, recommendation for good, healthy computer looking.
All right. Doctor, can you stay with me for a little bit longer?
Sure.
All right, we got to take a news break. We'll be right back. We're talking with Dr. Albert Pang, and he's an optometrist with Trinity Eye Care. If you got a question or comment, we appreciate you calling at 260-1870 or 866-889-0870. And if you want to get your question in on our text board, we have that coming directly into the studio at 870-870. We'll be back with some of those texts right after the news. And it's the Friday edition of the Think Tank. Don Dubuque in for Garland Robinette. We're talking with Dr. Albert Pang. The doctor is in. If you've got a question about some startling new evidence showing that our eyes are being damaged, both short-term and long-term, and other physical problems because of so much time being spent staring into monitors of all types, computers, iPhones, iPads, television screen, video games. If you've got a question or comment, 260-1870 or 866-889-0870. I also want to welcome our listeners back in on 870 AM. We are back up on both AM and the FM dial. Dr. Pang, we have Jay joining us by way of the cell phone. He's got some questions. Jay, you're on with Dr. Albert Pang.
I know this used to be way worse with the old tube-style monitors, but, I guess it's gotten a little better maybe with I think the matrix stuff doesn't do quite as much of that. Is that correct?
Well, actually, it's not. On the contrary, in the old days, I don't know whether, I will not tell you how old I am, but I remember when I look at long time ago when they have tube, I don't know whether you remember they're using black background with green letter. Remember those things?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And those actually is a better, what should I say? Those days is actually healthier for the eye because you do not have a lot of white light emitting the blue light. So black background with green lettering is actually healthier to the eye. You don't have a lot of visible high energy light getting into the eye. It is the LED and also all the window, desktop, all those evolution changing the whole picture. There's more and more white background on all the screen. When you have a white background, that usually naturally emitting a lot of the blue.
Right, high energy light.
Yeah.
What is the actual frequencies of the high energy light that need to be blocked? Do you know that?
I would say probably
wavelength?
In the range probably higher than 550 nanometer are the ones that we need to block out. So in the 400, those are the lights that we need to block out.
400 and 500 and 550.
Well, I would say
the
anything that is shorter than 500 are the ones that we need to block out.
That's shorter than 500.
Right. Anything above 500 nanometer are the one that is, comfortable and healthy to the eye.
So what was that technical nanometer?
Nanometer is the measurement of the wavelength. It's
thank
you. The connotation is like nm, nanometer.
MN. Okay, gotcha. Right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, Jay, thank you for your call. Dr. Pang, I have a text message coming in that wants to know, in regard to turning down the brightness of monitors, does it matter the relationship between the screen and the ambient room lighting?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Yes, actually, we do not suggest that, we have, it depends on what is the ambient room light. If the ambient room light is like fluorescent tube that we use in a lot of office environment, then of course we need to probably understand that, you're already exposed to a lot of the UV light. So when you have that environment, you probably may like to turn down even more. Instead of 80%, you may like to go down to maybe 60, 70%. Because the ambient light is bright, so you should be able to see the computer screen quite easily. Whereas on the other hand, if you have incandescent light at your background, so the ambient light is not as bright, then you may need to go up a little bit on your computer screen, maybe 80, 85%. Otherwise, your eye will get even more tired because when the ambient light is low, you need to have a little bit brighter screen in order to see the better contrast.
Very good. Before we take this next break, I'm getting an awful lot of text. People missed out where they can get the glasses. Is there any place they can go in and purchase them over the counter, or do they have to see an optometrist?
I would say check with your eye doctor, check with your optometrist. They were able to direct you to the right direction. Depends on your prescription as well, because some of those glasses are more designed for computer use, like they even have the prescription for your computer only. So I would say do not, because a lot of it, you can go online, on the web to check out, but you do not know the quality of it. Some it's just like sunglasses. You can get sunglasses over the counter, but they may not be to the best interest of your listener.
All right, stay with me. We're going to take a break. We come back. I'm getting a text in about Gunner's glasses and want to know about those. We'll be right back with Dr. Albert Pang. If you'd like to join the conversation, 260-1870, 866-889-0870. And if you'd like to text us a message, please text responsibly. No driving and texting. Shoot it to us at 870-870. We'll be right back. All right, back with us. This is Doctor Day. We're going to be joined in the next hour by Dr. Charles Preston, Dr. Robert Muller, Dr. Adrian Talbot, and a statement from Dr. Leanne Trueheart. They're all in the medical profession, but they will be running for public office for the St. Tammany Parish coroner position. We'll talk to them next hour, but right now it's back to Dr. Albert Pang, optometrist with Trinity Eye Care. Dr. Pang, I got a text in, wanted to know about Gunner glasses, Gunnar. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, actually, Gunner lenses is the brand they make for the yellow filter lenses. Remember, I talked about just now two way for you to cut down all the blue light, and one way is by using a tint to absorb the blue light, and Gunner belong to that group. It's kind of carry a very light subthreshold yellow tint to absorb of the blue light so that your eye feel more comfortable.
I see. And those probably would be available from their website, if not through retail stores?
Yeah, retail store as well, website. And those come in also non-prescription as well as prescription. So if you need glasses to see, like to read close-up like you, Don, then those can come in the prescription that you need also.
One of your observations was that you found that your patients it's harder for them to go to sleep after looking at the blue light in these monitors, either on an iPad or a smartphone, reading before bedtime. One of our texters wanted to know what is the recommended time that you should put down the device before you try to go to sleep, before using it before bedtime.
Now, Don, it all depends on the addiction level, right?
Yeah, in most cases, sometimes it's pretty high.
Yeah, I would have to say that, it's going to be very difficult, but if you're able to, again, refrain from any type of digital devices an hour before you go to sleep, that is going to be perfect. You're able to have better, longer sleep, easier to fall asleep, and also better deep sleep, the REM stage of sleep. So, I don't know whether I mentioned that earlier, but when you have hard time in sleeping, it's actually also causing a lot of health issues, such as diabetes. Your blood sugar level increase if you are not able to go to sleep, and also hypertension, high blood pressure also. So sleeping is kind of essential for your general health. So think of it long term for your overall health. Put away your electronic device an hour before you go to sleep.
This may be the salvation for newspapers and hardbound books, huh?
Yeah, right.
I also got this in, and I'm sure you would prescribe prevention is better than a cure, but someone does want to know, what is your recommended best over-the-counter drops to relieve dryness in eyes caused by that blue light?
Well, I try to avoid giving any brand, but
well, what should they look for in it if they look in the ingredients?
Yeah, it depends on again if you're talking about computer, dry eye can be because of multiple reasons. For some people that get into a past certain age, dry eye can be because of tear volume is decreasing. And again, when you're talking about computer, you probably look at some eye drop that have glycerin in it. That is kind of like the oily component to it, so that you're able to, again, keep the tear in your eye without evaporating too soon. So glycerin that's in the eye drop is what we need to look for.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Dr. Pang, thank you so very much for coming on and talking about this. I think that this is going to take shape and really sweep the nation in the media when the word gets out on this, because it's a very wide-reaching implications on affecting an industry and affecting the long-term health and eyesight of patients. Thank you very much for explaining it in great detail. We really appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome. And Don, I think you did a great service to your audience.
I agree with you. Thank you for helping do that. And if someone wants to find out more about the blue light syndrome and the prevention and the types of glasses, is there a website you could recommend to them, maybe yours?
Yeah, you can go into my website, TrinityEyeCare.com. Let's see, and also I believe they have Vision Council of America also have their website regarding that. And just now, one of your audience talking about a gunner, they also have a very good website talking about harmful visible light.
Thank you very much, and that's one of the most precious things we have is our eyesight, no doubt about it. Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Welcome. Bye.
Dr. Albert Pang, optometrist with Trinity Eye Care. Again, his site is TrinityEyeCare.com.